Hello and welcome to this DTVKit tutorial. We are going to cover in this the general usage of DTVKit, including Git, which is the repository system that we use, and Mantis, the bug tracking system that we use. And also we're going to cover upstreaming a change back into DTVKit. So without further ado, we'll jump straight in and hopefully we'll get something good out of this. So first of all, I've got it open in my web interface. I've got Git web interface open, and I've also got Mantis, the bug tracking system, which the links you know is github.com and bugs.dtvkit.org. And then I've also got a terminal open. I'm using Linux here to do any of my changes because you can just see the commands that I'm using. So the first thing we do when we get into DTVKit is we want to clone the repositories. We want to see what's in there. We want to play with the code. So we can do that by git clone, and then we find in Git the repository that we're going to use. So on the right hand side are a list of the components of DTVKit, and the one that I'm going to play with is DSMCC. So I click there and that gives me a URL here of where the repository is on GitHub, so I can then copy that to my clipboard, and I can then go back to my terminal and paste the URL that I've just copied into my terminal, and I can clone the repository. So it then asks me for my username and my password, and hopefully then it will start cloning the repository. Yes, it's cloning the repository. So that is now on my system, and I can view the repository and go through and do what I want. So in Linux, to be able to do that, I've also needed to create a SSH key, which is the secure key to access GitHub, and I create it in Linux, and that creates a public key, which in GitHub you have settings, and in settings you have SSH keys, and in there you need to paste your public key. You can gain access to the repositories that way. So I will now look into forks and how we work in DTVKit. Okay, so we've now looked at cloning the repositories, and we're going to now look at putting the change back into DTVKit. The way we do this is in a workflow process, and I'll try and go through this stage by stage. So say you want to put something back in, you found a bug or a feature or just some change in documentation that you need to put back into the repositories. Every single change that goes into DTVKit needs a Mantis ticket raised. So you will go into Mantis, which is bugs.dtvkit.org. You then go to the project that you want the change to be made in. Say this is going to be a change in DVB core, and then you need to report the issue. So then you need to select what type of an issue it is, so bug, documentation, feature, other. Then these are all, you don't need to fill these out, but they're obviously useful. How many times it happens, how important it is, priority of the item, and then give it a product version that you're working on. So this is 1.1, and the target version will be the next version, 1.2. I think this is going to change soon, but we'll stick with this at the moment. You then need to give a summary of the bug that you are working on. So maybe channel change failure or something like that. That's pretty severe, but and then you need to give a description of the problem. Once you've done that, filled in, you can fill in the steps to reproduce any additional information, etc. You then need to submit the report. Once you've submitted the bug, it will be in issues, and you need to go into the issue to find it. So it should be in my view, I think, once you've done it, and say I'm not going to create one now because I don't want to create a dummy issue, but say it's this one. You've created it, it's giving you a number 343, this one for instance. You then need to make sure that it is assigned to yourself if you're the one that is going to be doing the work. So you assign it to myself. You can change the status to allocated once that is done, so that it is been allocated to yourself to work on. And once you've done all of that and you've got a Mantis ticket number, it's in Mantis, you can then start working on the fix, or if you already have the fix, putting it back into DTVKit. And I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so now you've created your Mantis ticket and you want to actually get some work done. So the way to do this, we work on forks in Git. So we create a Mantis a branch from the fork of your impersonalized fork, which is named the Mantis ticket number that we've just created. I'll show you how to do that quickly. In GitHub, this is the main repositories, and then you have to fork your forked repository. So if I go into a main repository here, you can click fork, which creates your own personal fork. And that was done there. Once you so I can actually, I'll do that. It's actually a public fork. So I click fork. It asks me who I want to fork as. It's me. So I click there, and then it goes ahead, and now I've got my own DSMCC fork, which should be now viewable on the right hand side. Yeah, so I've got DSMCC. If I go into that one, it's got me a new URL, which should be for its old worth, and I can copy that to my clipboard. So now I want to actually do some work on that fork. Let's see how we do that. Okay, so now we've got the address of our fork, and we now need to actually show our local Git where that fork is, and that's done by, you can add it to your remotes via command git remote add, or you can edit the config file, which is in, I think it's .git config. Here you can see the original address of where we got our DSMCC, but we can create another remote in here. Well, what this is, we can call this whatever we like. So I'm going to call it my fork because we've just given it the address of the new fork we've just set up. And I don't know, we recopied that address. Copy it again because I think I've lost it. And go back to my terminal, and I can paste the URL in here. So that's my own personal fork. I can then save that is configured. Now, go back to my terminal. And I want to create a branch on that fork to work on. So, let's just check I'm on master at the moment. I am on master. I can now check that there hasn't been any changes recently to DSMCC. Since I checked out that master branch. It's now trying to fetch any changes. There has been some changes, so it's pulled them down for me. I can now create my branch, which is going to be done on the master here. So I can git checkout minus B for branch and the name of the Mantis ticket that I am fixing the bug for. So if I call it 500, I know there isn't a 500 yet. So now we've got a branch called Mantis 500, and we've checked that out. We now need to push that branch to our fork. So to do that, we just go to git push and the name of the remote, which we called my fork, and the name of the branch, Mantis 500. And I need my username and password again. Now I've got a fork. I can now probably see that in here. Once it's decided to wake up, so I've got a branch on my fork called Mantis 500. Great. I can then do my changes, so edit my files, add files, etc. So this is done via git, editing the files, git add, git commit, those commands. So git add, git commit. Once you've done all your changes and you are happy with the changes you've done, you then need to push that back up to your fork. So I've pushed that back up to my fork with the same command as before. So we're pushing back up to the branch on that fork all those changes that have been made. So that's your fork and the changes done on the branch of the fork. Now you want to go ahead and you want to make sure make them go back into DTVKit, and to do that you need to go into web interface again. I'll show you how to do that next. So the way to create a pull request in the web interface, once you've committed your changes to your fork, your branch on your fork, is you go into the repository. You can see this button over here, which is called compare, review and create pull request. And you can see here, this is my fork, and you can see there's Mantis 500 that we created earlier. They're identical because I haven't made any changes, but otherwise it would say, would you like to create a pull request if they're different? And that's where you click create pull request. That's all done through the web interface. So once you've done that, you can go back to your Mantis ticket. You can say that it is now resolved, change the status to resolved, and you can assign a ticket if you know who to assign it to. You can assign it to the moderator of that component. They will then review the ticket to see if your changes are useful, and they will then accept the pull request or reject it. And that is about it. Once you've done that, you might want to tidy up. You created a local branch on your local machine called Mantis 500. You may want to delete that because it's not needed anymore. So I think we've gone through the process now of creating tickets and creating new pull requests using Git. Tried to go through the workflow as much as I can, but I think we'll finish there for now. I may do other tutorials later on to show you other bits and pieces on DTVKit, but happy playing, happy coding, and enjoy. Thanks.